Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to show you my greatest accomplishment during this quarantine. I learned how to make sourdough bread. Right from the starter all the way to a baked and delicious loaf of bread. If you're interested in that, just keep on watching. So when it comes to the starter, you put a cup of flour and a cup of water into a mason jar. I started with this little one and I had to grow to a bigger one. And then every day you pour out half, add a half a cup each of flour and water again. If you need further tips on that, I'm going to link a video down below. All right, here we are on baking day. We are going to start by proofing the sponge. To your starter, you want to add a cup of flour and a cup of water and set it in a warm place for about 1 to 3 hours. This is what mine looked like after being set out for that amount of time. Now to your nice clean original jar, you want to add a half a cup of flour, and then to that half cup of flour you're going to want to put 1 cup of your sponge back in. This you can just cover and put in your fridge, and any day you want to make bread you just take it out, feed it, and you are good to go. Now to those ingredients you want to add another half a cup of water, and then mix that all together really well, cover it, and again put it back in your fridge. Once a week you want to feed it, so you pour out half of it and add a half a cup each of flour and water again. This is now called your mother, not starter anymore. Alright, now on to your bread. You want to take 2 cups of your sourdough mother, put it in a large bowl. Let's move it so you can see better. Now add 2 tablespoons of sugar. A half of teaspoon of salt. Make sure you don't put too much. It may hinder your rising, and that's the last thing you want. And now you add 1 cup of flour to start. I don't know how much flour you're going to end up needing. That's going to depend on where you are in the world and what the humidity is in your house that day. I don't have a KitchenAid, so I use the handle of a wooden spoon to go ahead and mix that all together. After I've mixed a little bit, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. This is optional. You can add oil, you can add whatever you want or not add it. It's up to you. I chose to add butter because I like the flavor of butter. And I'm going to go ahead and mix that in. And I'm going to continue to mix and add flour as I feel like I need. And here we are to the point I'm ready to knead it. That's about the texture you want, where you can pinch it, doesn't stick to your fingers, but it's not quite ready to let rise. So add to a clean, lightly floured surface and knead it until it is no longer overly sticky. As you'll notice here in a second, the dough starts to stick to the countertop. You don't want that. When that starts to happen, you want to add in a little more flour until it no longer does that. It takes quite a while, but be patient. I personally find this a lot of fun. The soft dough feels really good in my hands, and it's fun to me. But if it's not for you, put on some music and enjoy the process. This is about where you want it to be texture-wise, and now you're going to want to place it in a clean bowl to rise. I greased my bowl with some olive oil, which you're going to want to do so it doesn't stick. And then go ahead and cover it and let it rise for 4 to 9 hours. As you'll notice here in a second, I put a little olive oil on top of my bread. That is to keep the plastic wraps from sticking to my bread. But I do want plastic wrap on top of it so it doesn't create a skin. You don't have to do this, that's just my preferred method. Alright, so the bread is risen. I will show you in a second. Look at that. Oh, yes, that's what you want it to be like. Nice and puffed up. Now you want to pour it out onto a lightly floured surface and knead it just for a few minutes just to release the air bubbles. A lot of people call that punching it down. Same thing. Go ahead and knead it for just a few seconds. And then go ahead and shape your loaf. I used a rectangle loaf pan. You could make it in a round, make it however you like it. We like it this way. And then I'm going to place it in my pan and cover it once again and let it rise for another 2 hours. This is an all-day process, I won't lie to you. If you want to eat it that night, you better get up early in the morning and get it started. All right, as you can see, I let it rise for the 2 hours. It looks great. I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven to 350 degrees. And then I'm going to add my loaf and another pan of water into the oven and let it bake for 1 hour. The pan of water is to help add a crust. If you don't want a thick crust, don't worry about the pan of water. All right, here we are. We are to the baked, finished loaf. Even Ajax is interested. Now you're going to want to turn that out onto a wire rack and let it cool completely. I've heard that if you cut it too soon, it may turn out a little bit gummy. So let it cool completely so you don't run into that problem. And now here we are to the slicing and enjoying. Now listen to that crunch. Listen to the crunch of that crust. Oh, that looks good. And there's the finished product. So there you are, how to make sourdough bread at home. I am currently making a second loaf. It is rising as we speak. I'm really excited. It feels so good to know I don't have to go to the store to get yeast to make bread for my family. If this has been a help to you, giving you something to do in quarantine, please give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Consider subscribing and watching my channel grow. It would mean the world to me. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye!